All right, your Pratt Pack on the road at Personal Law. That, of course, the law firm of McMillan, Urick, along with Tosi and Jones, and they're in Hopewell, and their website is personallaw.com. Now, the reason we're here, your Pratt Pack likes to promote the fact the big game is coming up, and a lot of adult beverages. That is truly the big thing trending on social media, how much beer people will consume, right? Well, you also, as I always tell you got to be responsible. And no matter if it's the big game or any day of the week or night, if you're out celebrating, look, folks, you got to be realistic. 2016, you can get a designated driver. If you live close by, use your feet and walk. Call Uber, JB Taxi here in the Valley, or Yellow Cab at Pittsburgh. But when it comes to those who, yes, sad to say, will get a DUI, this is attorney Nick Urick, and we're going to break down exactly what the DUI laws are in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So, first off, we tell everyone, don't drink and drive. But realistic, in the real world, you know what's going to happen.
Sure.
And even good people end up getting a DUI. So what happens?
Ultimately, the first thing, and I know we've talked about this a number of times, and I obviously always appreciate the opportunity to get to see you and get to put some things out there for people to hear. Weekend like this, with no Steelers in the Super Bowl, maybe not as much partying as we'd expect here or hope for in Pittsburgh. Nonetheless, like you said, if you're drinking and you're driving, it's no good. Nowadays, DUIs are so common; they're so prevalent. It's one of the top type of criminal cases that we see here in our office.
Mm-hmm.
You get a DUI, ultimately, most of the time you're going to be asked to go and take a blood test at a hospital. If you refuse that, two important things. You're automatically going to get a license suspension for a year. You could also face another license suspension with respect to the DUI itself. So, obviously, big concern there if you refuse a blood test.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, you want to be respectful of the officer. We have a great law enforcement community here in Beaver County. I know a lot of the officers myself. I know them personally. Be respectful. That will go a long way if you are charged with a DUI.
Yeah, and of course, Beaver County Sheriff's Department, our longtime friend, a Aliquippa native, Sheriff Georgie David, but now it's Tony Guy, longtime member of the state police. They, along with all of the local police, the state police, will be out in abundance, and they really want to serve and protect, and they want to protect you. But is in this great land of ours, everyone has rights. So talk about what rights someone has who's been charged with DUI and what you can do for them as a defense attorney.
Surely everybody has the right, and it's the typical thing you hear in movies and on TV. You have the right not to respond. But again, one thing you do want to be respectful. You want to at least address the officer's questions if they're asking you something. Like I said, you can't be compelled to incriminate yourself, but ultimately, you do have the right to refuse a test. But as I said, there's a big consequence if you do refuse a blood test.
Mm-hmm.
The main thing you want to do is to call an attorney. You want to call an attorney right after an event like that happens, so that you can be aware of what you should or shouldn't be doing from that point on. A lot of times people don't do that, and they get caught up in some things that really end up affecting their case in a negative way down the line.
All right, best case scenario, you listen to what your attorney has to say, you follow his or her guidelines, you get representation, and you accept your punishment. So let's just say we've talked about what happens negatively if you refuse a blood test, and you have to be always respectful of the law. But if you go through the process and you have been, as we like to say, clean most of your life, and this has not happened, kind of take us through the scenario on what will happen and how you can put this behind you and move on with your life.
Ultimately, if you have no record and you're eligible for a program that is called ARD, it's essentially a probationary type program for first-time offenders. So it's your first DUI. It's going to be classified in one of three tiers based on how high or low your blood alcohol concentration is.
Mm-hmm.
If you're eligible for the ARD program, you face, in some instances, no license suspension.
Tell them what that stands for.
The ARD is the Accelerated Rehabilitative Disposition Program,
Mm-hmm.
where if you complete the terms and conditions of the program, your charges at the end of the program are dismissed. Typically, it's a 6, sometimes 12-month program, depending, and the charges are dismissed. So it helps wipe the slate clean and get you back on your feet.
All right. All we can say is we hope that you do not drink and drive. But if you happen to find yourself on the wrong side of the law, and it happens to good people too, I hope you'll consider Personal Law here in Hopewell and attorney Nick Urich. They truly are out there fighting for your rights. Enjoy the game and be safe, everyone.